us today in regards to budget process. So with that, Barbara, it's all yours.
Great.
I'm going to sit and eat hors d'oeuvres and listen.
Okay, good. So we'll give you a couple logistical things. It's recording, so Lisa's happy that I'm recording. Number one, our safety minute. If there's an emergency, down the stairs and out the door to your left. Restrooms down the hall to the left. Other things, lunch will be served at 12:30, so please help yourself to hors d'oeuvres before then. You can get up and in the middle and just help yourself. There's also water and coffee right outside. We still are expecting a couple of other people. I think Mr. Trombley, Daryl Hess, and Julia Tucker were invited. We think it's really important that we are all kind of on the same page. And as I turn it over to your program and budget analyst, one of the things that I would like to say is at a prior work session, Ernie talked about Elizabeth and VE. So before Elizabeth, before we had this expertise in the assembly department. So Elizabeth has been with us about 1 year, in another week or two. And so she's really just filled all kinds of roles in the clerk's office, as many of you know. And one of the things that has sort of become apparent to me, when we work on budget issues, we're not all on the same page. We have lots of different understandings, lots of different words that we use, and I just thought it could be really helpful for all of us, the clerk's office. Some of you know a lot more than some of the rest of us, but at least it gives us a common language. And so I just can't thank Elizabeth enough for putting this together. If I told you all the other things that she's working on, you'd know why she worked last weekend and next weekend and all that kind of stuff. She's working on some, major invoices over $100,000 that she's reviewing and checking to make sure that the city and the Department of the Assembly doesn't pay a penny more than what's due. She's working on RFPs for the Assembly Department, and she's working on getting our budget for 2014. She had a great meeting with us on a review of our budget for 2013, and she's doing this, so she's been really busy. So thanks so much, Elizabeth, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Barbara. And I want to thank all of you for coming today, and thank Barbara, of course, as she's just been super to work with, as have all of you. And I appreciate having the opportunity to be here and to fill this role at this time. With that, I do want to start out saying that, as Barbara mentioned, we do have so many different people with so many different levels of experience with the municipality and on the assembly. And because of that, as we were having our first budget retreat, following an excellent retreat offered by Amanda and Barbara and Julia earlier this year, I did want to start out at a 101 level, and we're going to try to keep that part of it short for those of you who are in the excelling roles of assembly service. I know that some of this may be a lot of the budget stuff is old hat tricks for you, so I don't want to bore you. I don't want to take too much of your time. So what we plan to do is to start at this basis of the 101 level, and then invite any of you to come in and have questions, or that seek information or queries regarding the budget this season or ongoing throughout the year. Feel free to drop by the clerk's office or shoot me an email, and we'd be glad to help you get to the bottom of some of those mysteries of the universe, if you will. So what I'd like to do is present a short presentation, and in tradition of our retreats, we will play a game as well. So let me just start out with the origin of the budget. And is everyone able to hear me? Yep. Okay, we do have a microphone. I don't know if that's gonna
You're good.
I'm good, okay, yeah, I think that'll be annoying, so, okay. So starting out with the origin of the budget, does anyone know where the word budget comes from?
I bet it's Greek, everything's Greek.
The Michigan-Ohio War.
Ah, Mr. Flynn, very good. That would be Wolverine. Okay, no, the origin of the budget comes from an old French word. Amy was on the right consonant.
There we go. Usually it's Greek.
Go Amy.
It's all Greek.
And this was the word, budget, or budget. Actually, the pronunciation guide, it's so old, there really isn't the pronunciation for that, but I think it's probably budget.
Bougette.
Budget.
Well, people do also.
Thank you.
Show off.
So, does anyone know what that means?
What?
Patrick?
It's a stale baguette.
Ah, close. Any other balderdash guesses? So, no. I've asked our wonderful clerk to provide us with a purse. Budget comes from the word purse, and that's to carry or hold your money. And that's the translation of budget. And that was, sometimes the winnings of a game or a race, and it's also where the budget was held in the family or in that small sack. For us here at the municipality, we just don't have enough purses to hold the budget, fortunately. And so we're not going to go along with the personality, but we're going to go along with a little Alaskan nature and look at navigating the budget from sort of a mountain perspective. So the definition of budget is an economic plan for financial operation of the municipality based on estimates of proposed expenditures and revenue for the upcoming fiscal year. And as I'm going through this, feel free to chime in or to ask questions, or if you have questions that pop up, feel free to jot them down. We're not going to get into a lot of deep level stuff today, but if you have other things that come up, jot them down or shoot me an email or raise your hand at this point. So the budget sets the upper limit for the amount that can be spent. That's the difference between the upper and the lower, is that it's not setting, what your minimum is, but it's telling you this is your cap. This is where you can go with it. If without that limit, you need to move forward with another amendment. And that can only be done, and I'm going to let everyone know, there are some rumors out there that there are second quarter amendments, third quarter amendments, and fourth quarter amendments. And the municipality and the clerk's office will continue to support first quarter amendments only at this time. So what is the budget?
Can you tell us why, Elizabeth, why is that?
Because the end of the year, all the money is determined what has been spent and what hasn't been spent. And any of the excess goes into the fund, and we're able to put it towards the tax calculation in April. And so we do that, that's figured out, then we're able to have the first quarter amendments. After that, there are no further quote unquote quarterly amendments. That's the time and the place for that process.
And part of the issue, isn't it that we expect to have a surplus if there is a surplus at the end of the year, that
Yep.
there's some concerns about spending that during the year?
Right, because
Probably.
you have encumbrances, and you're not sure throughout the year what that's going to be at the end of the year. And you said you can hope that we're going to have an excess at the end of the year, and we can never expect to have it unless there's really great news or less spending.
The real differential is at year end, when we set the budget and the first quarter budget amendment, we can adjust the taxation level to accommodate that spending. If we
There you
make a
go.
subsequent appropriation, that comes from fund balance.
Thank you, and I appreciate appreciate everyone's, historical and well-worded, presentation of this. I'm a numbers girl and I'm not as fluent at the presentation side of this, so I appreciate.
You're doing great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Mr. Steele?
Yeah, do we, as we approach the end of the year, are we keeping good enough track that we can see that coming and we might, rather than have a surplus, we might spend to that budget level?
At the department level, people are aware of their budgets and their encumbrances, or they should be aware of their expenses and their encumbrances and
But I mean, as the
balance.
process goes on, do we adjust such that we're familiar as we're coming down to the wire?
I think
how
the
it
answer is
looks?
yes, and you may hear the answer is no as well.
Right.
You know, there can be some, you know, it depends on where we're at in the year, but as, you know, you can get a very good idea of where you're at. And it does depend on department goals and payments, you know, you could have an encumbrance that's $200,000 and you know you haven't spent it, but it's out there.
So, Mr. Steele, from the department level, as Elizabeth said, and we're the Department of Assembly, yes, we are monitoring that right down to the penny. And I've already told, Ms. Johnston that I am watching that so closely that if we, right now, Elizabeth has projected that we will be at 96% of the Assembly Department budget. So that's a little bit less, and if that is the case, I am gonna go out and buy an MP3 player. We have several, that's what we record your meetings with. And that extra one, this last year, we bought an extra one for Mr. Honeman so that he could take it to record the Assembly Public Safety meetings, and then we swap out at the meetings. And then in 2014, I'd like to do that with Ms. Johnston, because she has the enterprise meetings, which are occasionally not in City Hall, and then she would have an MP3 player to record those committee meetings. So if you have some need for like there's an expense, I've got another one, I need a new chair for Mr. Trombley. You heard Mr. Trombley say that the chair at the chambers doesn't fit him. So that's another example of something that before year end, we will sit down and look, we will make some decisions about, spending money on necessary items.
He stands up all the time anyway. So we get those requests that we want into as soon as we can.
Yes, either to me and or Elizabeth, that's correct. If your chair doesn't fit you, just let me know.
All right, thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions at this point? Jennifer, I'm sorry, Ms. Thomas.
I don't know if I'm jumping ahead of you, but when we set the upper limit of the budget, and the departmental, we don't necessarily, with administrative, like, with the assembly clerk or the administration, we set the upper limit, but they have flexibility in how it's spent.
Thank you. I'm glad you said that. And, and Ms. Johnson's right in that, Assemblymember Johnson, is correct in that the departments have some flexibility with their budgets, you know. We do budget to what they'll call the 1,000 level, and I don't wanna get into that with
Yeah.
some of the new individuals because
Belay that.
we see that they may be changing so quickly. Even in the team budget right now, the counts are changing, so, they'll budget at the personnel level, which is like salary and benefits, and then at the operating level. And within that, as Barbara mentioned, you know, she might have a little $100, $200, and she's able to buy the needed resources, without a budget transfer, if you will. And that's up to the discretion of the department heads. I mean, they're not, there is oversight on what's being budgeted, but it is not down to the, you know.
Stapler.
Yes, the stapler, thank you.
Did you know our food has been served a little early? So if we could, this
think this is a great time.
We'll get, lunch, and then we'll come back and continue.
Looks really good.
It is. It is. Yep.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
That's okay, don't worry.
And then
And
we'll
what
get you a
should we-
better year.
You're right, I'm being really selfish again.
We're just actually making it more efficient by avoiding the line.
That's right. How's work?
Not at the place right now.
No, what happened?
The division in which my
Hey,
office resides,
I'm not
lost a
offering this
significant
because of
contract
anything
about a month ago,
except
or a rebid.
that I brought them and
Oh, I
I know
like
you
that.
like them.
Thanks.
It's not because we
Whereas
just do anything.
we're not-
I-
not-
I'm
Thank you.
joking.
That's all- I figured that. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
I like to
We
bring
used
them
to be getting a lot
along.
more efficient
I
than we
love
are now. Because all of a sudden, they have big problems. The meeting that I was at this week, it looks like we're gonna close 6 offices.
Let's get you a new chair out here. That was not working for you, let's get you a new chair. Where the office is at, Patrick?
Oh, in the Midwest.
Where the hell were you at last meeting, sir?
Vernon Hills.
Vernon Hills.
Holiday Inn Express. It was fabulous.
Guessing work brought you there.
Yes, sir. 2014 planning, nothing like we're working on right now.
That's right. And you know what they say, hell to plan, plan to fail. What I don't, I guess. I won't say I don't appreciate it, but I don't fully understand where the spirit and the, for instance, if the general government budget comes in from the department saying, this is what we need for these things, and we're able
So
to
you
see
need a
that
new
budget,
chair.
we have this big ass,
No.
binder.
You need a new tape.
Then all of a sudden, we go back there and say, well, you know, we had budgeted for this, but now we're not gonna do that, so we're gonna try to, we need more money now because, first quarter, because we're not spending on this, we're spending on that. It's like, okay, why didn't you come to us with a plan, what's gonna take us some money, and then you budget it,
That's why I just
if that's available, because I'm finding is at the higher level, they're starting to grab the money from the lower level.
Get one of those recliners and redirect the mark on it.
I remember on the school board meeting,
Not sure if you want to do that, but.
For instance, they played this game, and it is just that, nobody says you have to do it, it's not anywhere in the bill. It's just a 5-year look at what they call vacancy factor. And every mayor's done it, it's not the right way to do it, but it's just, it's a reality. That, well, 3,000 employees that you have.
Actually, yeah.
Really, you can budget 100% salary, you'll never have 100% salary. Because somebody, every
Like a
time
lower
it
interest
dies.
rate. Yeah.
But they can see back and forth.
I don't, but it's not, what they do is, instead of saying, okay, guys, you got 100% of your
At the
budget.
treble there,
salary.
you're good to go,
They don't, only the ECFO, mayor's office, somebody says, you have a vacancy factor, and you will not have this money, even though we've appropriated it and given it to them for that use.
No, but that's what budgeting is, standard budgeting.
We know vacancy factor.
Yeah.
We don't know. Right.
Yeah.
One, 10.
Standard.
Wrong way of doing it, I'll tell you that. Because if you do it properly, you're allowing them to hire up to the end of the year. If you don't do it right, then you're basically telling somebody, when you can brag.
Well, if we increase the salary, budget over $2 million,
Most of it is right. You lose it.
running fat, you need to get extension for, we wanna get a surplus.
I think the kids like it, they thought they don't have to, well, didn't realize it was just being made up on the back end.
Go for it, Elizabeth.
Okay, so I think we're back, can go back to the presentation, and the question is, what is the budget spent on? And any thoughts of what we spend the budget on?
People and stuff.
Very close, he's got two of them. What else? So, Paul talked about people and stuff that's operating, the day-to-day costs.
Capital, like expenditures.
Yep, and then this other is capital projects, CIP. Those are usually high in cost, you know, millions of dollars, long-lasting assets. They're gonna have a capitalized life to them, and these are based on a needs list. So we're not gonna get into all the nitty-gritty of operating and capital expenditures today, but that's just pretty much when you do receive your budget books, that would usually be broken up into your operating and your capital.
Hey, Elizabeth, what is the definition that we use for capital? What's the depreciation term that we use to define something as capital? More than a year, 5 years, 10 years?
I think it just depends what it is. Because I know on the utility side, it can, it's gonna be based on, like, for water, and actually, for electric, it's based on the USDA's accounting system, and I'm not familiar with USDA on electric, but water and wastewater, it could be anywhere from, 0, which is, I can't remember the word right now, but where they've provided it, like a fire hydrant that a developer provides. And yes, thank you, contributed plant. And, but it can be, you know, 1 year for IT project, I think, to 99 years. There's pipe out there that's 99-year, capitalized items.
Okay, also goes on as like, for the general government, do we have a standard term of depreciation that we apply to capital?
Yeah, I'm not sure on that one. I don't have experience here with the.
I'd be curious about that.
I can look into that for you. Any other questions? Okay, so by law, in a really small nutshell, we're just gonna say that for this budget process, we have to have at least 2 public hearings on the budget, and within the code, it does set forth that there's a certain number of days that those need to take place, and those will be scheduled based on the code. But 2 public hearings on the budget, and then the budget needs to be approved 21 days prior to year end by the assembly.
That's calendar year, not fiscal, so it's a January, December thing.
Yes.
I don't know if you're gonna get into the school district, but the school district budget, if we don't take action on that, it's basically approved without, it can't be approved without action.
As they submit it to us.
And by law, we do need to have a balanced budget. The decisions that are determined are made in open meetings and adopted by a majority vote within the assembly. So, based on the proposed, I'm sorry, I'm having a mind blank right now. The GGOB is.
It happens to all of us,
I'm
darling.
like, oh my goodness. And the proposed capital improvement plan, the assembly may increase any item, decrease any item, add any items, or delete any items. So, we looked into some other did you have a question, Mr. Steele?
Any items, I mean,
Within the proposed budget, so what will happen is that
we're gonna wipe out the police budget, or?
the administration will provide their plan. They go to all the effort to put it all together, and then the assembly looks at it, reviews it, meets about it, and then is able to make amendments, and they can add anything, delete anything on that budget. And that's for capital or general government.
Those actions, those adds or deducts are vetoed by the mayor?
No, the mayor can't veto reductions.
Yeah, veto reductions.
Can't veto reduction. No, you can't veto something to put money back in.
Are you sure? Yes, absolutely sure.
Did you just say he can veto something and put money back in?
No, he cannot veto reductions.
No.
That's what I thought, but I thought you said veto.
We've thought that was on.
I just wanted to make sure I was clear.
Okay, according to NACSLB, which is the National Association of Clerks and SLB budget, I can't remember what SLB is.
Cool.
Yes, to help, the mission of budgeting is to help decision makers make informed choices about the provision of services and capital assets and to promote stakeholder participation in the process. So that is done in a 8-step process that is basically a circle. The first one is the stakeholder input. When the municipality with the administration is going through the development, they're gonna talk to the stakeholders, to the department heads. They're gonna find out what these budgets are. They're gonna get the input. They're also gonna get the goals, the missions, the vision. And not only that overall vision, but the short-term goals. And then there's direction to staff. Potentially, increases or cuts, or a continuation model, whatever it may be for this season. Based on the market conditions, based on spending, based on a whole host of things. These will have operating and budget impacts, and at some point a budget is adopted. But does it end there? No, right. At that point, once the budget is adopted, there continues to be the monitoring of the results, the spending, the hitting that limit, and adjustments as necessary. As Barbara mentioned, maybe she has $10 left over to buy a stapler. That could be an adjustment. Or there could be special reasons that things need to change. And those are things that, I'm sure you guys are made aware of. But all of that is done with an accountability. Because we have an accountability to the taxpayers. They're interested in how we're spending their money. What are we accomplishing? And, is there performance management? Is there an auditing of these numbers? And what are the measures to determine that we're meeting performance the performance that we look to. So, to do that, a government needs to establish a broad goal to guide their decision making. And they should have broad goals that provide overall direction for the government and serve as a basis for decision making. So, we can talk about that from the administration side, but if we skip ahead to the assembly side, what are your goals? They build this budget and present it to the assembly, but is it only up to the administration to have goals for the budget?
No.
Very good. I agree. I don't think so. And how do you determine the assembly goals? Are they the same as the administration's?
Not always.
So these are questions to ask, to think about, to move forward as you go through this process, to think about what are your goals individually, what are your goals in your seats, and as a combined unit. This leads to your discussion about the objectives and directions you want to take, whether you adopt the budget, whether you ask more questions about certain items, whether you decide to make additions or eliminations. So putting those two together equals the guidance for the budget development for the administration side, but also for the assembly side, for the legislative side. Okay, so we're gonna wrap this part up really quickly and go into talking about just the economic conditions. I'm sure many of us have heard Bill Popp talk about, how great things are in Anchorage and in Alaska. But we do know that there are limitations to how much we're able to spend and how much we're able to, the resources that we have and the needs that are out there. And we aren't dealing with the oil boom times. We're dealing with this new normal. This is across the nation in many parts of the world right now, where the economic changes are structural. They're long lasting. They are not cyclical. They're not temporary. That we've sort of made this switch, this change from that they have been cyclical in the past. These are impacting local funding and services, and there is not much relief in sight. Because of it, we do notice public unrest. There's a lot of people who don't want certain items cut, and I understand that. I think we all do. But there's not always enough money to go around. So it provides an opportunity for us to evaluate again where we go with that. So based on that, we have a little exercise provided by NATCO. And it's a little game. And I think what it'd be great to do is to maybe divide it up in groups. Do you guys want to play back there? You're going to bow out. So it's sort of a fast-paced game, but I think it teaches a good lesson because I know that all of you deal with some of these things on a daily basis, and you go to your email, and there's many people requesting all sorts of things, and whatever it may be, and this sort of supports the idea of we can't do a second quarter, a third quarter, or a fourth quarter amendment. There needs to be thought. There needs to be some prudence in where we're going with all this.
Continuing resolution.
So,
They can do it, why can't we?
let me set this little game up, and we're going to play Huntingdon Shires, the name of the locality, and we're going to go as a group. So the assembly together, and we've even got our anchor logo. And what this will do is allow you to deal with some constituents, maybe make some changes. You can update the taxes and see where this gets you in a year. So we're going to pretend we're a county today, and it talks about keeping your citizens happy by making sure they want to live and work here. So down here at the bottom, we can adjust your taxes. So I'm going to have one of you on each side be the person who says, I want to change taxes now. And you're allowed to just raise your hand. So if you'll pick a tax.
I think Amy should be our taxer.
Okay.
No tax.
Adam and Amy are going to be taxers.
Oh.
And then the big green bar at the bottom. Can you all see this? There's
I don't like this game.
It's pretty weak.
Yeah, it'd be better with the lights down.
dim the lights.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Perfect. person is 10,000 more? Is that what it looks like?
No, I think they're a person. I think every person counts as one person.
But I mean, down below, it looks like a person times 10,000. Each person means 10,000.
Maybe, yeah.
Something like that. Okay.
It's the value of your population down there.
Got it.
And then the big green bar is, your budget, how much money you have to spend. If you go over budget, you're gonna get a audio signal that you can't do that. And then, let's move on to that. Current date, try to get reelected at the end of your 4-year term. These little cones that you see with the down arrows, those are building projects. If you want to put in a road, that'll add to your population. Okay, so we need a developer on each side. Who wants to be a developer?
I'll
I'll develop.
Okay.
I'll develop. No idea what.
SimCity.
You get to put in roads.
Cool game.
Responding to requests and adjusting taxes will impact your approval rating. If you deny people, your approval rating will go down. You need at least 50% approval at the end of your term to get reelected. Okay, I'm just going to go through these buildings because you need to know where to go. If a citizen wants something, click on him or her to hear the request. I'll click on him. And I'll click on one for you guys and one for you guys. And then you'll have to make a decision. So who's the decision maker on this team?
Elvie.
Elvie?
I think Adam's.
Adam's the tax
I'm
man.
the tax man.
I'll be.
Okay, Steele.
So I may not get elected for this.
Okay, so if you take too long, the citizen grows angry and explodes.
If you're lucky.
The timer shows how much longer the citizen is willing to wait. If you don't get to them fast enough, they get mad. Then once you've listened to their request, you need to bring each citizen to the appropriate building that can best fulfill the request. And then you can turn down the request if you can't afford it or if it's not in your county's best interest. So, you're aware, some citizens might ask you to set up a new public area such as a park or museum. You can build those projects with the little down arrow cones. I'll help you. Building roads increases your population and generates higher tax revenue. This building at the top is Public Works, second is Finance, Parks and Rec, Records Department, Health and Social Services, Sheriff, and the Courts and Corrections. So it'll be up to the last person out, which was Jennifer and Chris, to determine what building you're going to take your citizen to based on their request. Okay, here we go. First one up is this team. What are you guys, how about A and B?
Sure.
Okay, I think we already had a guy.
Said the citizen left.
Yes.
So they're already-
Okay, so here's a citizen. The school needs a list of my child's vaccinations before they can start school. I need to know where I can find information about vaccines. Chris, do you want to do it or reject it? It's a $0 over 0 per year.
Oh, sure, we can answer the question.
Okay, and where are you going to take them?
The state Department of Health and Social Services.
Okay, Health and Social Services. So we're going to assign the project. Your approval rating went up. Okay, woohoo!
Good job, Chris.
Okay, tell me if anybody sees a new person. There's one. You guys are up. I got a summons for jury duty. I really want to help the county by serving, but I don't know where to go. Can you help me find my way?
Yes.
Where are you going to go? Are you going to? Yes. Yay. Okay, and if any time anyone wants to build a road or increase taxes, just let me know. This is your team. I just paid off my house, and I think that affects my taxes. Can you point me in the direction of the department I need to contact?
Sure.
Which one?
Say if it's the assessor revenue?
Finance? Okay, you guys. We've dug a new well and I need to be sure the water is safe. Which department is responsible for testing my water?
Do it. Help.
Wrong service.
Public Works.
Totally happy.
Yay! Did you guys want to build something?
Yeah, we're gonna build a road. Yeah, we need a road.
It's an alley.
Via this road?
Let's go for it.
So your population goes up,
What my approval rating is?
your approval rating is like 50%. So you can now adjust your taxes, your monthly sales tax, your yearly property tax, and your yearly expenses. Do you guys need to change that? You're 5% for sales tax, property tax is 5%, yearly expenses?
No, we just increased our population, we shouldn't have to.
Raise your taxes.
So we take the sales tax to 10%, property tax is 0.
Okay, now we've got 2 people in line.
Oh!
It's the hottest month our country has ever seen, and many people are getting sick. We must provide relief for all the citizens.
Chicago, man.
Okay, so where are you going to take them?
Hospital.
Health?
Health and Social Service Center.
Okay, it's going to cost $500,000. Gonna do it?
To do what?
To do what? Yeah.
Get
Provide
everything-
relief.
Isn't there a private
Air
hospital in this
conditioning
town?
everywhere.
Why do I have to pay for it? Whatever happened to health insurance?
Is it a yay or a nay?
They didn't have a
No,
homeland
no, we can't
security.
help.
Okay, I
We
can't help.
you for $500,000.
The heat is just too much for many of the people. The county could have taken simple steps to provide relief to the citizens. Meanwhile, we have 2 guys here. I think the animals should be taxed. Who can help me create a tax program for animals?
Take training.
Mr. Trainee? You wanna do that?
No,
License
reject it.
agent.
Cat?
Reject it, reject it.
Well, we need a leash law for that.
Okay. You guys are up. It's already March. I'm new to the county and I want to take advantage of the recreation center. Can you show me where to find information about what classes are offered?
Yeah, sure.
Don't you have an iPhone?
What building?
Parks and Recreation.
Okay, you guys are up. Citizens would like to continue their community vegetable garden. It will require a little money to keep it going, but volunteers will maintain it at no cost.
Sure.
$20,000 and $5,000 a year.
Let's do it.
Yes?
Let's do it.
Let's do it now.
Go for that.
You just rejected
You
it.
just rejected it.
Oh, I just
Oh.
rejected it.
Oh, now
We're
we're.
gonna-
That's
we're-
what happens.
All right, we're gonna build a
Now we're going down.
road.
Bureaucrats.
Like
You
to
know how
move for
they-
reconsideration?
Yeah. Room for reconsideration, yes.
Like to build a road.
Okay, so
Move to roll the
we
budget
should
in.
have a monthly community picnic for the people of our county. It's a great way to promote our park system. 10,000 this year and 10,000 a year. Want to do it
Oh,
or
man, let them pay
reject
for
it?
No.
Well, we'll get volunteers, we'll help.
We're gonna build a road.
Malden picnic.
South of
Oh, I want to build a road.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to roll a road? Okay. Main Street is the perfect location for an annual 5-kilometer race. We should organize a road race to get people outdoors and exercising. $30,000 up front, $20,000 a year.
No, hard pass.
And you want to build a
We're gonna be
road?
that's gonna do it.
Don't you live in Eagle River where they have all these
Yeah, we
activities?
did that.
Yeah, right there's good.
Through Texas?
No.
We're gonna, this team's gonna build some more infrastructure. You know when you're ready.
Okay. We should offer free eye exams to all of our county youth. It's important to make sure the kids who need corrective lenses get them. $50,000 and $50,000 a year.
It's not free.
They just need to engage the Lions Club.
It's not free, no.
Okay, so it's August and your approval rating is about 35%. And you want to put in a new neighborhood.
Wait, who's that?
They wanted to do a New York.
Are we?
It's
We
this
do.
guy right here.
I do, I want some more infrastructure.
Right here.
Okay, I just
I'm
got
the
you more
tax man.
infrastructure. You want another one?
Sure. Go for it.
Well, cash for satisfaction. Pretty good.
It's inching back. That's the-
Another
Such
one?
a nice city, now look at it.
Uh-oh, someone just exploded.
Main Street isn't Main Street anymore.
Are you done with infrastructure?
Yeah.
Okay. Woo, people are exploding. Okay, so I'd like to support our
That's us.
county by paying my
We'll do it.
taxes, but I
That's
don't know
finance.
which office
That's
is
us.
responsible.
Yes,
For
yes,
county
do it.
finances,
That's
office
right.
should advertise 80,000 and 80,000.
We think advertising taxes will make us more popular, is that what I just heard?
No, I
Wait,
don't think so.
I thought we were just answering a question.
Well, no, we have to tell people where to.
Do you wanna, you can still say no, assign the project, no.
Boy, you're kinda wishy-washy.
I didn't understand the question.
Okay,
Taxes
Amy,
or not?
do you wanna do taxes? Change your
Uh,
taxes or not?
Yeah, I'd say a monthly sales tax kind of stuck at 10%.
What would you like it to be?
What's a monthly
I know, never mind. I'll let somebody else, I'll defer. The tax person,
Amy
but I'm
says
deferring,
yes
I'm
on tax.
deferring.
You're a tax person, better figure it out. Come on.
Well, we'll leave it at Chris, that's good. Come on,
Every time we
go.
have a national
So it's-
meltdown in the economy, there is no.
Okay,
national
your
tax.
turn, we should be able to pay our property taxes a little bit each day. Will be really expensive, but could we set up a system to collect property taxes on a daily basis, Mr. Hall?
No. Paycheck. Paycheck.
What's our approval rate?
Your approval rating has gone up, it's about 40%.
Right.
Someone just exploded though.
Because Adam never made any more decisions.
It's February. Taxes provide important funds to keep our county running. Can we pay our taxes to the county electronically to make this process easier?
Yes,
Yes. Do it.
yes.
The way of the future.
Oops.
Okay.
Yeah, look at that.
People pay too much attention to organized sports. Our county should mix things up and host the unorganized Olympics. Every person for themselves.
Ew.
250,000. LV?
That's a marriage
Jack.
transaction, isn't it?
You.
Yeah, what do you wanna do?
Mayor's got a committee to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, your turn.
Whose turn? Ours?
Yep. The county should keep better track of citizens' birth records. We need a modern record-keeping system with a good staff to update it.
Oh, sounds
Yeah.
like.
Don't say it.
It's SAP.
People swap.
There was only 350,000 though. Uh-oh.
Say, how is that gonna help us?
Pen and paper.
It's fine.
Efficiency and we can get rid of employees.
What records? The clerk's office has flooded, Mrs. Jones.
Oh.
And all the paper records are in danger of getting wet.
See, you
Action
didn't
must be
approve it.
taken to avoid all the records being ruined.
She can find it in her budget.
Digitize all those.
$50,000.
Who's got next?
Freeze them. Very good. The clerk's office is flooded, so we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
When's the election? If it's June?
What month do we have?
It's June in
We
your
gotta get
third
that.
year, so it's coming up.
Gotta get above 50
We gotta get
before
there
you-
above 50, I think the tax rate has to be changed.
Okay. Our county's pooches need a place to play. We should build a dog park. $400,000 for a dog park.
I'm going to baseball.
Mr. Trainee.
I created 5 of them in Anchorage, yes.
So we're
Didn't
doing
cost
it?
that much though. Yeah, but I don't like your numbers.
So reject?
No, do it.
Okay, do it. Which department?
Parks and Rec.
We're on 50%.
Not quite.
Oh, I'm sorry, I did that wrong. We have to build it. Okay, we're gonna build it right there.
My daughter, he's all going for it.
Alright, since this is this one ours?
Yep, this county should be more
Okay,
patriotic.
can I
Let's.
just tax it?
Okay,
No.
the change stoplights from green, yellow, red to blue, red, white.
No.
$650,000.
Reject.
Reject that one summarily.
And you wanna change taxes?
Let's change taxes. Alright, I
I don't like
wanna
that.
drop the sales tax to 3%.
And you cannot touch property taxes at this time.
Actually, you know what?
Oh.
What happens? I can't touch property taxes, why?
It's locked.
You can only do it once a year,
It's,
but not.
yeah.
Oh, you're not.
Yeah, just.
Alright,
Willy-nilly.
no
Only the
taxes.
first.
No taxes.
Oh.
Let's
No,
watch
no,
your
no, no,
approval
wait,
rate.
Now you
Go,
got
go,
rid
go,
of
go to
legislation, you'll never
8%,
get it
go to
in.
8%.
Go to what?
8%.
Are you all in agreement?
So he's at 4%.
Try to keep revenue
4%,
coming.
okay, 4%, you know, we can't have a property tax fund.
So we're gonna
So
say
4%.
Adam wants 8%
4%.
sales tax.
We reduce the yearly expenses.
Would the popularity go up there?
Yes, your popularity went up.
50%.
Of course it went. It's not getting reelected here.
Returning to communities after serving in combat is often difficult. We need a program to help military personnel and their families with this adjustment.
already does that.
$550,000.
We have federal dollars coming in to do that, we don't need to pay ours.
So
Program's
reject?
wrong. It's wrong. We have federal dollars coming to do it.
Our county could use another firehouse to help keep our citizens safe.
Do it.
That's us.
Do it.
That's us.
Do it.
Hey, you have a disclosure, Amy.
I know.
Yeah, you don't get to vote.
You
You don't
voted
get
for
to
that.
vote.
Hey, 821,000.
Well,
Do it.
Build it. You guys,
Are you gonna build it?
I think we
You
just
need to
built
put it in
it
a central
somewhere.
location right there.
Oh, I think I built it. Right.
You put it on the outskirts of town.
Judges should have sentencing options other than just jail time. It's already December. Minor offenders might be better off with required community service or parole. $800,000.
800 grand? No.
Reject?
Well,
That one didn't change his name.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, who wants to take it? Amy?
Your turn, Amy.
Now this number's popularity down again. Go down to 2% in property taxes. No.
You need a balance,
I
Amy.
know. 6% for sales tax and 3% for property tax.
And you can also change your yearly expenses at this time. You're at 100%.
Well, we got excess, so you might as well.
You increase the sales tax and.
Yeah, there.
Push yourself over 50%.
Well,
Yeah, I know.
better drop.
You gotta have a balance.
It's gonna go down.
I know. Okay, go down to 3% and 3%, and then go.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. And then drop that to keep going down. Okay, stop. There you go.
Good?
Yeah, that's fine. We'll see what happens. Raise taxes. You wanna diversify, that sales tax.
County
right?
buildings are the face of our community. We must regularly repair and maintain these buildings.
Yes.
Rejected.
Okay, it's January. I think we're almost.
We're still not getting reelected.
Because they look beautiful.
Wait, what department are you guys going to?
Public works. You gotta do some feel-good stuff.
The beautiful bridges in our county aren't inspected often enough. We need more inspectors to make sure that our bridges are safe.
No,
$1 million.
no,
Do it.
no.
Yes.
Do it, you
Divided.
can have somebody
I'm
fall
doing
on the
it.
ground.
Do it.
Just do it.
man.
Talking about
Alright.
public safety.
Where is public safety?
At the very end.
Thank you. People are increasingly concerned with man-made pollution. We should update our county buildings so they are more environmentally friendly. 1.6 million.
We don't have enough.
Rejected.
No, we don't have enough.
Can't afford it.
You're
Rejected.
You have to spend it, come on.
No comment.
Just financing with commercial paper.
all children should receive vaccines when they are young to keep them from getting sick. We would provide and track these vaccines for each child. 1.5 million.
Can't afford it.
Can't afford it.
Can't afford not to do
Out of
it.
curiosity, would you let's do it and just see what happens?
Yes. What? Does anybody want to build anything?
The people lived and therefore they pay taxes.
Insufficient funding.
I wonder about that.
Not allowed.
Build a road.
We have a toll bridge in this town.
You should have
should establish a program to provide care for those dealing with mental illness. Community is an important part of mental health treatment. 1.25 mil.
Bill in the tent.
Let's say they build a bridge right through Government Hill.
Providing substance abuse counseling for people who are struggling with addiction is one way to help them make better choices. We're almost at 2 million on this one.
Can't afford it.
Public libraries provide citizens with access to wonderful books and educational resources. Our county should build a new library. 2.3. Let's build a convention center and charge people to host conferences there. We'll draw interesting speakers to our country too.
Hey man, we're better
Our
than
county,
Congress.
8 million.
Can we increase the
Does anybody want to increase taxes?
Alright, here's what we're gonna do, since we're already down below, we should be, let's just jack taxes up.
How much?
Alright, actually, seriously, no tax. Let's see if our approval goes up.
It would be fun to have a minor league sports team in our county. No team wants to move here yet, but if we build a stadium, teams will want to move. 25 million.
Just go to reject.
Reminds me of that joke. I couldn't just second our motion to run.
And we should build a new county airport. This will provide more travel options. 20 million.
What is it like? This is so proof positive.
So you're almost done, guys. It's almost election time. Does anyone want to build a visitor center?
Why not?
Because we have half the money.
How does that help us with taxes?
The county citizens were dissatisfied. Your county's people have found your work. I'm not going to say that because. So.
Pour my name out of confusion.
You did end up with a citizen satisfaction of 19.
Hey, that's better than Congress.
That's right.
And you have reserve funds of 5 million and a population of 65,000. So you did grow your population.
All right. So we got that 5 million, we get to spend that now?
No, because we're not real.
So, I know that game was a little silly and a little time consuming, but I think, to me, it reflects, some of the ongoing concerns and questions that I know that you guys are presented with regularly. But it also helps, us realize a little that we can't, we have to utilize the resources that we have wisely and, continue to monitor the budget and set those long-term goals that develop that vision of a budget and a plan that will help us into the future. And I leave you with that. And thank you for your time. And if you do have any questions, or on this subject or on any of the upcoming budget books that are provided, I'm happy to help you investigate those and to determine answers to help you learn more.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
Thank you. You guys do a great job.
So, I have a couple of questions for you and we're ready to wrap up. How many of you have used Elizabeth to help you find budget answers and questions? Okay, great. I mean, for those of you that have, it's like this unbelievable font of information. So, does anybody want to share like an example? I mean, I know someone asked her for actuals or something. Go ahead.
I was concerned about the fleet cost and how each department is basically being billed, by department to the fleet and what is that number and what does it represent and who gets to make those decisions. And so Elizabeth, researched that and we've still got an ongoing, kind of an outstanding from the administration on where they're falling at, but it gives us a better picture. And it was very good. And then there was something else I asked you, it was very good, it escapes me.
That's one thing I can't tell you, Paul. That's one thing I do. So those, I do try to keep your questions. I do keep your questions confidential unless you've given permission to share that,
But
so-
that's a great example, you know, something as detailed as fleet expenses. And, you know, we've got this mountain that she's talking about that's the municipal budget. You know, it's not even one department, it's like this thing that affects all departments, and she can go in and get that. So go ahead, Amy, and then we'll come back to
I
Jen.
would give two great examples. Number one, Elizabeth has been keeping tabs on me because I like to know where the departments are and what, as the year progresses. So she has given me an overview of each department, where they are in relation to their budget, so, and then the other. Huh?
We're gonna have to bill you for her time.
Maybe, but that's what she's there for. And then the other thing that, something as detailed as, I'm really concerned about AFD collections because I brought that up in an assembly meeting, but that's something, she was able to go to purchasing, she got the contract, she was able to follow that. So, when I say I want information, I want all the information, and she's a great resource because she'll go to the department, she'll get everything you want.
So go ahead, Jen.
Yeah, what about monies that come in, like, things we don't know when we do budget cycle, like, state roads money, money that comes in, AMAT federal money, stuff like that. Do we have access to those types of things? You know, what?
I can always find out anything that I'm able, and I'll let you know when I'm exhausted my resources, and.
So since those monies come, and they have historically come into the city, she can look up and tell you, she's done this for some of us. Here is historically what's happened for 5 years. Here's what happened last year. This item was approved last year on this date, and so she can get some of that. The legislative stuff, she can look that up. I can tell you there's somebody else in our office who's done some research. Lisa did some research for an assembly member last week, and it involved researching some issues on old legislative grants. So we can help you with that when you need us to. So someone else was gonna say something over here? Okay, go ahead, Paul.
Not related to this specific thing, but, we are getting ready to build our budget, and we haven't received it yet, so I'm not sure how much we can say since we haven't received the budget in a publicly noticed area.
Just the notice meetings, do whatever you want.
Okay. So basically, some of you may have seen that the mayor's made a comment to the Chamber of Commerce, and I think he would say it publicly, that he intends to put forth a budget to us, I guess soon.
October 1st is the deadline.
Or second, whichever one, but basically to reduce, and I don't see that adds the balance. I'm looking forward to seeing how, but I don't necessarily see that that's taking us where we probably need to go, and particularly in light of the information we received today. So I think I'd ask that each of you look at, particularly the area of with the schools, and we know their challenges coming up, the school resource officer program, and how we build them for use of our trails and things like that. I don't think that we're going the right way in that part of it. I know that I look forward to the dialogue on that. But anyway, we've got a budget coming up that the administration largely presents, and we can do one of two things. We can just pretty much adopt what they present as suggested, or we can take a little active role and move it a little bit. And I think we ought to seriously take a look at that.
I think you need to also, how many of you read Tom's grass meal about the police numbers?
Right.
I'm starting, we've been holding the line for a while, and that's, I think, appropriate, particularly given the circumstances we're dealing with, but I'm getting nervous about the size of our police force right now, and I think we need to have a larger dialogue around this as far as
And I'd like to say, because I'm not sure if all of you, I think you all received it, but with the questions I had asked the chief about the numbers, his numbers were different than Tom's. And so I did send those on to Tom. Tom's were about half of what he said they actually had for so I mean, but I'm just saying.
This is something I haven't been terribly uncomfortable with our numbers of police officers in recent years, but I'm starting to get there, and I'd like us to talk about that.
His point's well taken about, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have half the class pay.
Well, that's another issue,
price.
yeah.
I will tell you, at the mayor's chamber of commerce briefing, he said he's coming in $4 million less than last year's budget.
Yep. Which is mainly
What?
state and federal. That's what
I know
that's
where
what
we're at.
So So the one other thing that I'll tell you is Elizabeth mentioned it at the beginning, the budget schedule, so we'll just quickly touch base on that. When we plan your calendar for the year, we think about that ahead of time. So the budget has to be delivered by October 1st, and then we have, public hearings, I believe we have let me back up, work sessions on the 18th and the 11th, or the 11th and the 18th of October. So those are your two budget work sessions. And so some of these questions, you can make a decision you can make some decisions about what Elizabeth was talking about, what are your goals, what you're talking about right now. That might be some part of how you characterize those work sessions. We just schedule them. You guys get to decide what happens at them. And then, I'm not sure when the public hearings are. Does anybody know when the public hearings are? I'm thinking maybe the 8th.
November.
Yeah, it'll be like the 22nd and one other one, and then we have another work session on November 19th, and that'll be the work session when you get all your amendments together. So I think I might have my dates a little bit mixed up. 19th is the day you adopt. So then the work session, the Friday before that, you'll have all your amendments, and that'll be your work session.
Yeah, we'll get
So,
all that
yeah,
calendar
we'll
pulled
get
out.
all that.
One thing that I'd like to share and plant the seed in everybody's mind is, as you know, if we amend the budget, there's a document that you fill out, and you can add, subtract, you've got to identify what you're gonna cut to accommodate, or you've got to identify the resource, whether it's additional taxes or funds, balances. What I'm asking of all of us is we will request that those be in the Wednesday prior to that work session. Then when we go to that work session on the Friday, everybody gets a chance to explain their budget amendments, the thought process behind that. So I'm really encouraging everybody, please follow that. Get them turned in timely so we can see if there's duplications. And when we get it put to us they will actually be numbered. But on my part, it's really difficult when I get laid on the table for a budget. And I've come in and I've identified where money's being spent, where money's coming from, and to have to sit there that evening and try to calculate and figure out how you are going to do that. So I encourage everybody to please get them in by the date that we ask so we can discuss it on the Friday, and then no surprises on the night of the meeting.
Go ahead, Amanda.
And just from my prior experience in the clerk's office, budget amendments seem more likely to pass if they are shared and discussed at the work sessions. It seems to me like the ones that have been laid on the table, they're more often going down, and I think it's mostly because members don't have an idea of it beforehand. So I think it is worth it.
And I have a comment. Thank you, Amanda, for that comment, but the reality is it just depends on what the subject matter is and the amount of money, whether or not they're passed. Not to contradict what your comments, but that's the reality.
Okay, do we have any, I think this was great, a great opportunity for us, and I had a great time in the spring at our little retreat, and I hope you had fun with this retreat, and we'll just keep doing it. And I really want to encourage everyone to take advantage of Elizabeth. She has excellent skills. She's a great worker, incredible attention to detail, and she is here for you to do that work. And sometimes I have to balance it, and we have to share it a little bit with other people in the office because she's really busy. But whenever we can, that will be stuff that she can help you with. So thank you very much, and you're gonna all make your 2 o'clock.